guys, it's Alora and welcome back to my channel. It is now 2021, the new year, and I decided to start this new year off with a type 4 hair video. I noticed that my type 3 hair video has been getting quite a lot of views, and majority of my subscribers have kind of come from the type 3 hair video. And I know I meant to do the type 4 a long time ago, but I got distracted. So let's jump right in. So just like I prefaced in my type 3 hair video, I did want to go ahead and say, just because I talk about type 4 hair types doesn't mean that I'm the be all end all of information. It is important for you guys to go and seek things out for yourself as well. I'm just going to be talking about what I've seen in general, the research I've done. Everything I say is just the general consensus and what I've read and what I've researched. And if it doesn't apply to you, that's perfectly fine, because you just might have a different hair texture or a different hair type, or you might have blended textures. So let's now officially jump into the information. So type 4 hair is actually going to be the most fragile hair texture that I'm going to be talking about in this series. And fragile doesn't mean that it's weak, it just means it requires a lot more care than say type 1 or 2 hair needs. And the first hair texture we're going to talk about is going to be 4A. And the way 4A works, and there'll be a picture, it still has a defined curl pattern. So if you'll notice in my type 3 hair video, 3C and 4A are very close to each other. And the main difference really is going to be the amount of moisture that your hair needs. So the 4A hair type is going to be the circumference of about a crochet needle. And I'm not talking about the crochet needle that you use to, like, you know, crochet your hair in. That's not the needle I'm talking about. I'm talking about actual crochet needles that you use for like knitting and crocheting. It's about that size. With this hair type, there is still going to be a definite like S pattern in it, so you still have defined curls. But when caring for your 4A hair texture, what you're going to want to do is find a really good daily moisturizer that you can use. Sometimes you have like daily spritz leave-in conditioners. Some people use oil sheen, like a daily kind of oil sheen. A lot of people use maybe coconut oil. And also whenever you're like doing like washing your hair, for example, even though your hair might feel like it's really, really dry, the moisture didn't just disappear. It didn't evaporate. It's still there. And so you have a lot of oils, a lot of water, and products that are in your hair. So whenever you are washing your hair, you want to make sure you kind of get all of that out. But the key to that is you want to like shampoo and condition, right? What you don't want to do is shampoo all the time, because constantly doing shampooing plus conditioning 4 times a week, for example, you're going to end up stripping your hair of its natural oils, and you're going to end up drying it out even more, which is something you don't want to do. And that's just my tip. Now, maybe it doesn't apply to you. That's fine. This is just my general thoughts on that. So the next hair type we're going to be getting into is going to be 4B, and the circumference of this hair type is going to be like that of an ink pen, which is almost the same size as like a crochet needle, but we're still within that range. And the difference between 4A and 4B is now the curl pattern is almost non-existent. It's, instead of it being an S shape, it's really more of a Z shape. So it's still there, but the curls are going to be bent rather than curved. So kind of the same with 4A when it comes to upkeep and doing your hair. Again, you're going to want to use a lot of things that lock in moisture. You want to use something that's going to be something that's used daily. So again, like a daily leave-in conditioner, a daily oil, hot oil treatments are great, honestly. But if you have this hair type, you're just going to have to understand what that comes with. Just because your hair might be a little bit more dry or requires a little bit more upkeep, there's nothing wrong with your hair. You just need to make the proper accommodations for it. And the last hair type that we're going to be talking about is going to be 4C. 4C has been controversial. I can't tell you how many YouTube videos I've come across, I haven't watched them, where they're like, 4C? Or like there's some picture of some person who clearly has type 2 hair talking about they have 4C hair. I'm not sure if it's clickbait, I haven't watched them, but 4C has been controversial. So 4C hair is going to be very densely packed. In my type 3 video, I talked about how 3C is very densely packed, even though it's very fine. It's like typically very fine hair, but it's packed together so well that it gives the illusion of having volume. That's kind of the same thing with 4C hair. 4C, once again, is going to be very densely packed, but very fine strands, almost wiry. And I'll talk about different hair textures like wiry and cottony later, but that's going to be the 4C hair type. There is going to be less definition with this hair. So when we talked about 4B, I said it was like a Z shape. Once we get into 4C, to be honest, depending, now I'm not talking about hair when it's wet. Also, I want to bring that up. I'm not talking about hair when it's wet, because your hair completely changes its texture when it's wet. But 4C, there's really no defined curl pattern, honestly. It's not really an S, it's not a Z, it's not something that's, you know, just uniform all around. So the main characteristic of 4C hair is that there is no definitive curl pattern whenever it's dry. Not a bad thing, but once again, that's kind of the main thing. Another characteristic of 4C hair is going to be its shrinkage. And 4C hair, honestly, it shrinks about 75%, which is crazy. Some people might say 70. I've read 75. Let's just do between 70 and 75 is going to be the shrinkage of 4C hair. And that's wild to me. From what I've read about the 4C hair type, as far as caring for it, deep conditioning is incredibly important. Like once a week, you're supposed to deep condition your hair. Also, again, when it comes to styling, you know, heavy butters, heavy creams, anything that's really thick, because once again, your hair sucks up a lot of moisture. Again, these are things that I've read. I'm not speaking from experience. What do I know? I don't have type 4 hair. I'm not unfamiliar with the hair texture, just to get the record straight. I'm not unfamiliar. I've worked with it before. So again, if what I'm saying does not apply to you, that's perfectly fine. Everything I'm saying is really applying to like new naturals, people who have maybe big chopped like me, or maybe you've never done the research before and you just had no idea. That's who I'm talking to. I'm not talking to the people who have been doing this for 9 years and you know what your hair needs by this point, and then you're just gonna come to my video and bash me because I don't know what I'm talking about. You've been doing your hair for 9 years, of course you know what you're talking about. And that is going to be the end of my type 4 hair video. I know I did a lot of backtracking in this video, a lot more than I did in type 3, but that's just because type 4 is a bit of a touchy hair type to talk about, especially if you're not somebody who has type 4 hair. And I'm pretty sure like I'm a 4A, but when you start getting into 4B, 4C, you know, it's a whole different thing. So what I would highly recommend is you guys like find some YouTubers who actually have your hair type. Like for those of you who are like 3s like me and like, you know, relate to my hair texture, I'm more than happy for you guys to watch me. But if you're somebody who's in the 4 or even like a 1-2 range, the things that I say won't resonate as well as if you were hearing it from someone who actually has your hair textures. And I hope this one was just as informative as the type 3 one. And if I did get some things wrong, or if there's, you know, maybe I read something that was like a common misconception that actually isn't correct, please let me know. Like I have no issue being corrected and being told that I'm wrong, as long as you do it in a respectful way. And I really do appreciate you guys coming to watch this video. And if you don't mind, hit the like button down below. But I will see you guys in my next video.